can pull them out of the losing abyss and get them to a Super Bowl or a conference championship. I just want to throw some numbers at you. And these are substantial, and they all, when you distill them down, come down to the same thing. He just had his 6th game with 3 touchdowns and no picks, and he's only played 19, and he's already on his 2nd coach. He's the first quarterback ever to complete 500 passes before his 20th birthday. And here's one of the things about Justin Herbert that I love. I'm going to speak for guys right now. We have egos. And it's the testosterone, I think, and it's the egos. Guys, if they have a strength, they have to show it off. If a guy's got a great build, he always wears one T-shirt size too small. If a guy is funny, he's genuinely a funny guy, then he's the guy telling the jokes at the bar or the cocktail party. If a guy's brilliant, he's super smart, he's got to go to social media and rip people and show you how smart he is. We just can't help ourselves. We cannot help ourselves. We are show-offs. And in the NFL for quarterbacks, when they have big arms, you can go back to Joe Namath. He had to show you how big the arm was. Brett Favre, Big Ben, John Elway, Stanford guy. He wanted you to know, I'm going to squeeze this thing in that little keyhole. Jay Cutler, don't have to be great all the time. Zach Wilson now plays. He wants you to know he's got a great arm. The key to Justin Herbert's game is humility. He's got a cannon. And he could throw the ball through a battleship, and he rarely does. When he makes a mistake, it's because he doesn't pick up a read against Dallas in the red zone. He just doesn't see a defender. To have that kind of arm and to not, at 23 years old, constantly show it off with those receivers is really amazing. It's like having the best build in a gym and wearing a loose sweatshirt. It's like being the smartest guy in the world and not going to show off on Twitter. It's like being hysterically funny, going to a party and never telling a joke. Maybe one as you leave the party. This kid is 6'6", 238, a huge arm, 4-point major in biology. I like Derek Carr, but how small did Derek Carr look next to him? Derek Carr is 6'2.5", 212. Justin Herbert's 4 inches bigger, 3.5 inches bigger, and 25 pounds with a significantly better arm, and he only uses it sparingly. And this kid grew up, and I think a lot of this is, and that you see this all the time in a lot of industries, he was a late bloomer. He wasn't a 5-star recruit. He didn't have coaches telling him how great. Didn't have Alabama coming after him in Ohio State. Small town kid, grew up in the shadow at the University of Oregon, and so he was humbled early. He wasn't the biggest, strongest, coolest guy early. And as he developed, I've seen this my entire life with guys. When you're a late bloomer, you have this gratefulness and this humility. And I know it sounds weird, he plays with humility. But in my entire life, the biggest armed guy in the NFL often throws the most interceptions. And the way he plays, and you can tell his team trusts him. I say this all the time. A coaching staff will tell you what they think about your quarterback by the plays they dial up. This is becoming one of these teams that goes for it in 4th and 4 all the time. Brandon Staley, the head coach, talked about the team's trust. The kid's 23 years old. He's got 19 starts. That's what you do with Brady.
And then how well he performs in those gotta-have-it situations. And he's got that cool, calm composure that affects everybody in a positive way, including me. And I felt like he executed very well tonight.
There's a quote years ago from an NFC scout that was talking about Justin Herbert. Everybody said the scout's going to knock him. Is he too nice? Is he too nerdy? Is he too introverted? That's a bunch of bull blank. He's super smart, tough as blank. He doesn't have that Joe Burrow confidence yet. He's a late blooming kid, under-recruited. Eugene was his home, and being a Duck quarterback was a pinnacle. He's just growing up as a young man. He doesn't... We're like, he's 6'6", 240 runs. We don't understand. We watched them in the Rose Bowl. And Joey and I came on the day after the Rose Bowl, probably the best Wisconsin defense in my life, and we're like, well, I don't understand why everybody doesn't like Joe. I don't understand why everybody doesn't like Justin Herbert. A lot of it is late bloomer, plays with humility. Kid has no idea. And I want to shift to Mac Jones because Mac Jones, I believe, let's talk about that. I didn't get to talk about Brady through this ceiling. And I'm watching Mac Jones, and I think what you see with Mac Jones is what you see is what you get. This is it. I mean, he'll get a little better, but, he had 18 straight completions, runs the offense, puts him in the right position. You saw him. I thought he played really well. He's stepping back off the line. He's calling audibles as a kid. It was very interesting as I watched that game. And there was a singular player in that Patriots game that really said it all for me. And he works hard, and he deserves a lot of credit. His name is Jacoby Myers. He's an undrafted wide receiver. He has become the primary target for Mac Jones. Undrafted. He was also there when Brady was there. And that's why Tom left. Not a personal shot at Jacoby Myers. Is this league, as you look around last night, all the talent for the Raiders, and this weekend, Arizona, Seattle, look at all the wide receiver talent. It doesn't, you pick the team, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Buffalo, Tampa. Tom Brady goes into that stadium, doesn't play well. His warm weather team doesn't play well. He's on the road. He probably has the second best coach in the game, and Brady wins. As Mac Jones plays brilliantly. That is why Brady left. I mean, Mac Jones is great. He's an operator. He'll be as good as his parts. I cannot think of another player ever, a quarterback, who had significantly better weapons in his last year in college than his first year in the NFL. And it, my friends, is not close. He had better college offensive teammates than New England. And it's not like Belichick hasn't tried. The Mohamed Sanu trade, bust. N'Keal Harry pick, bust. Sony Michel, no longer with the team. As I watch that game, I'm like, this is why Tom left. New England has to play perfect football to win, and they almost did. They had a fumble, and they had a field goal hit the crossbar. Otherwise, they played really, really well. Tom Brady wanted to be the man. He didn't want to be the only man. That game is the future of New England. They have a hole. Nobody is perfect in the salary cap era. The Chiefs defense really struggling. Right? The Chiefs defense, Super Bowl favorites, really struggling. Nobody's perfect. But what you can't be is slow. The game, the quarterbacks, the wide receiver talent has never been more dynamic. And New England, for the third or fourth year in a row, has no deep threat, no playmakers, not dynamic, and now a quarterback who they're going to ride with for probably 10 years with an incredibly low ceiling. That game and the way they won it, playing imperfectly on the road, the warm weather Bucks up to soggy New England, is precisely why Tom left. They're trying to figure it out, and they can't. They just don't have any playmakers. Great to have you in today. It was a wild scene. I know it was crazy that we have a dome stadium in Los Angeles.